No, you get the side look.
Yeah, you get that
You get the side look. If you're in trouble, you get the side look.
To put this into context, because there's a lot of cultural things that are going on here. And so, again, these things are kind of racial, not intended to be like, and this is how we are different, and therefore create some value statement there. Sometimes I have to put this out there because sometimes I talk about this stuff, and people are like, you're playing the race card. And it's like, no, race card's in my pocket.
Yeah.
I haven't pulled that out yet.
You ever see that one?
Oh, I got it.
Because that one's sharp. You have never seen that one before.
But, has anybody here been to a predominantly black church or been to a movie theater in a predominantly black neighborhood?
No.
You know what I'm getting ready to talk about here. Something happens on the theater. No, bitch, don't go down the stairs. You're gonna get killed. No!
What?
I told you not to open the door.
Here you.
Yeah. It's a culture of feedback. It's a culture of critique and feeling and passion. And that's just how we were raised. It's part of it. Okay, so again, great uncle. So I started off with my grandparents, but a lot of what I learned was from my great uncle and great aunt who lived in Memphis. When it became clear that I was serious about learning the academic side of this and getting all the history as opposed to just getting out on the floor and dancing socially, my great uncle was really serious about if you're going to do this, you're going to do it right. You're going to learn it our way. And he was serious about this. So I get out on the dance floor, and I'd be doing something. It's like, hey, don't you do that to her. That's my wife. And, it's like I use my arm to turn her. Or, I try to move her body with my arms rather than moving my body to make her move. And this isn't a training session. This is us out on Beale Street in a club with their friends as musicians and singers, and he's yelling at this from the back of the house. You really quickly learn not to make those mistakes.
My mother would be like, okay, start again.
Yeah, do it over.
But go ahead.
It's not right.
No, we didn't answer it. No. Stop and start again. You're off. Stop. In the middle of the floor.
Yeah, this is a social.
Yeah, we're a social day. There's 300 people there. And you gotta stop in the middle of the floor when everybody else is moving. And start again. It's like you learn how to do it right really fast. Really fast. Same thing, exactly the same. Yeah. So when you guys take lessons, is the thing that I find when people take a multiple teachers sometimes, is that sometimes you become so specific, you're always looking for the differentiation. If something comes up, you're automatically looking for the differentiation, the difference in what it is, and making some contention about it. Instead of just trying to find the similarities, because most of the stuff that Damon and I teach is exactly the same. I noticed that we write stuff on the internet. If you write something on the internet, I write something on the internet. If you read them, they're almost identical. What comes out of it is almost the same.
Sometimes the wording is different,
right.
But what is being said is almost identical.
Almost identical. But we have in this again, we have some specifics of how we create and use certain terminology. Understand what that is. It's not that it's different. It's a different use of the same terminology. And it's not as necessarily right or wrong, but as a dynamic moving one way, as an accent moving one way. It's all about how to get you to the same point. In the long run, both of us are going to get you to the same point in movement.
Mm. So there's almost it's fun when I hear this. And I'm sure that you probably got some of this too. I know I did. There's these two camps. There's the Barry camp and the Damon camp. And it's okay, that's you guys. That's not us. That's not us. You're teaching you're having a talk and a Q&A with Barry. I wish I could be there. I want to see how this works. What? It's like we're gonna fight about something?
Go to my yoga with
It's two different streets going to the exact same place. And we know this, and we're trying to get our students to get there. And I mean, I recommend people go to him, and he recommends people go to me. And we do nothing but compliment each other. But because we phrase things differently, because we have different personal views on how we choose to teach our students, there seems to get into some people's heads that there's some sort of disagreement or conflict here, and there's not. I mean, if Barry wasn't here teaching his way, I might be teaching his way, because I now have students of mine teaching my way. And it's important that you have different teachers teaching from different directions, because we learn differently. And sometimes, you hear something a million times and one person phrases it slightly differently, and it clicks, and it doesn't mean that that person is a better teacher than all the other dozens you had. It just meant that that time, in that moment, it was said just the way they needed to hear it.
And you were ready to hear it.
Yeah.
You were ready to hear it. Because it's the same thing. We teach people all the time to say the same thing over and over again to you, over and over again, 7,000 different ways, and you still don't get it. And then one day,
you say the same thing that you said in their very first lesson.
Yeah, and they go, oh my God! Oh, really? I can sit down. I'm like, yeah, you can do that.
I didn't say that for 3 months. Everyone's saying the same thing. And it's just now you're hearing.
Yes, and you're just ready to hear it. And what happens is you brain's only taking so much stuff at one time. And we always bring a lot of information into your head. You're only going to get a little bit of it at a time. A little bit of it at a time. Because you have to now take that information and apply it to your body. Because being able to intellectualize it doesn't make you do it. You can talk a good game and still not be able to dance. Because you haven't gotten into your body to apply it yet. And then when you get to a certain level, the same thing I said to you 10 times already, I'm going to say it to you again, and you'll be like, bam! Oh, you mean this thing? And I'm like, yeah, that thing. Cool. You know that's going to happen. That's why we keep saying it over and over again. It's just a matter of time. You only be ready to accept it when you're ready. Yes.
I would love for you touched on this before, the fact that there is a genre of blues dances, and there's movements and elements to those dances that are unique to blues dancing.
They are the basis for all the rhythm styles. The movement action, basic movement action in blues is what all the other rhythm styles have been taken from the fashion from.
Could you both illustrate the properties that are unique to blues dancing, or the elements of blues dancing that make blues blues? I feel like right now there's a disease in our community that blues is just wiggly moving on the floor. It doesn't really matter what steps you do. It's connection based. The worst terminology I've heard is that blues is fusion dancing. I would love to.
I mean, it depends on what you mean by fusion. I mean, because if you're looking at fusion as we are taking these different elements from different styles of dance and different ideas and putting them together, and we're doing it to this music, then yes, blues is probably the first American fusion dance, because it was a fusion of African movements and rhythms mixed with European partner concepts and orchestrated music, and that's how you did with blues music, and that's how you did with blues dancing. So yes, in that very specific context, blues is the oldest of the fusion dances. What's up? Take that, internet.
The combination of the two, because obviously back in Seattle, we more than likely Africans didn't have partner dance. Right?
They dance over here.
Right,
they dance over here.
Yeah.
You really touch so much.
So when you start, as soon as you do partner dancing, you're automatically taking the European concept. But the thing about, for me, fusion means a distraction of everything pretty much that you're doing becomes a distraction. When you grow and absorb, like the movement of the body didn't change, the rhythm action and the movement didn't change. We just started doing it with each other as a partner action. So we absorbed that and grew as a dance style to be more socially acceptable, more socially usable, right? In context. Rather than just freestyle dancing, now we have this partnered action. Like we might have done these things and challenged back and forth to each other. And we're like, oh, wait a minute, they're touching. How does that feel together? And then all of a sudden, right, you have blues as a partner dance. So we have absorbed things into the blues community, but the base of it has not changed. The movement, action, the rhythm quality, the bass rhythms have all stayed the same. They have been taken by all the other genres.
Assuming that you're doing blues.
Come on, I gotta make that assumption already.
Yeah. Oh, no, but I just want to lay, I wanted to lay it out there.
I know what you're saying.
There's definitely some people who are like, blues is whatever you want it to be. Like, it has no rules. Like, really, because all dance has rules. All art has rules. It has to.
Something,
Well, I feel like you're all like dancing around what the blues movement is.
Well, yeah, we'll get there.
Okay, cool.
So here's the thing, and this is where it gets a little high concept, maybe, and I'm going to try and like pare it down in sort of like basic terms that are understandable. But I'm going to deal with it from like a high level. And I'm sure most of you have heard that, you know, if you take 1,000 monkeys, there's an infinite number of monkeys, you put it in a room with an infinite number of typewriters, eventually you're going to get a script for Hamlet. Okay, so the idea that if you can take some, one thing, if I can take blues music, and I can lock you all in this room, you've never danced blues before, and all I do is play blues music, and I make you dance, and I come back in a couple of months, you will all be perfect blues dancers. And the reason why is because you were actually dancing to, hopefully, music that you've been listening to. So the same things that define blues music create very specific physiological responses. Those elements are the basis of blues dance.
music is always first.
So that's the concept, that's the high level concept. So of course the question is, well, where's the rubber hit the road? Where is the practical application of that? Well, we have to sort of take a look at what defines blues music. So we have our, the baseline rhythms. We have the blues rhythms that shuffle beat. We have how we're going to deal with that strong beat and that weak beat, that up beat, that down beat, that 1, 2, 1, 2. That creates a certain kind of shape to our body. And if you had dinner in the class yesterday, I made a whole thing about this. And everybody was here, was like, I don't know where he's going with this. So if I hear the music and it's boom, ta, boom, ta, and there's this huge variance between the low sound and the high sound, that's going to be like boom, ta, boom, ta. My body's going to want to travel in a certain amount of movement that fills the concept of that space. So if it's boom, ta, then it's going to be here. The stronger, the greater variance, the bigger movement is. When it's lower, boom, ta, boom, ta, boom. Then we're boom, ta, boom, ta. When it's ba, ta, boom, ta, right here. It's just that sound shapes our body. Is it a low sound? Well, we're going to get down. Is it a high sound? We're going to be high. Is there a huge variance? Well, then we're going to have, a really big pulse. If the variance is really small, it's a very small, physical expression. And so that's, one of the kinds of elements that physically manifests itself in a very specific way when we dance.
So for me, the blues is an adaptation of African movement. So there are some movements through from African movement that has been brought over pretty directly as far as our solo movements are concerned. And this becomes the basis for how we partner dance. There's nothing in the solo action that we can't do partner. All this movement in the body that rolls and swings, this is all African. This movement is all African. Yeah? So you don't have some